All right, my fellow agents, welcome back and welcome to Zenorama, the podcast of heroes and monsters. It is Monday, that is Cartoon Monday, Cartoon Series Monday, that is. And we are going to be looking at three more episodes of The Savage Dragon. I'm actually enjoying this now. It was kind of fun, these three episodes, not just because the she dragon was in one of them, but they just worked well, I thought. So, before we get too much further into it, please like, share, subscribe. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about these episodes. Do you like the Savage Dragon? Do you like the comic book character? Do you like the comics? Do you like the cartoon? Heck, do you like cartoons? Should I keep doing this? I'm gonna. So, but I appreciate all comments. And if you could just watch a little longer than usual, that always helps the algorithm, and I really appreciate that. So, having said all that, let's roll. So we start off with Homecoming. This episode was it's the third one, right? One, two, three. Yes, October 2nd, 1996, and this is about a clue to the dragons because he's got amnesia. If you remember from the beginning, he doesn't know anything about his past. But there's a little dragon right there in that picture with a nice knife stuck in it. So they're fighting Doubleheader here, who's got a rocket launcher, and he almost wipes him out. They call that the freak phaser or something like that, but they use the word phaser. So apparently that's so ingrained in common language now, some 30 years after Star Trek, that you can just say it. Things do phase in and out. And Doubleheader was robbing a bank, but then he tries to buy some freedom with a picture of the dragon as a child. Apparently, he was a sports fan too. I don't know who number 76 was, but we don't know what part of the country he's in either. So he's looking at it, but he's like, "You can't bribe me. We're taking you in." Throws it into the sewer. Alex, being the wonderful partner that she is, jumps in and says he's going to have to uh, shake my hand as soon as I take a shower. So there's the excuse me. Frank there says Alex is taking some personal time. You get a new partner who's like all hot for Dragon. I don't know who. She had a name, but I don't remember it. She gets like two lines, and he's like, "I deserve hazard pay." So off Alex goes to find this place because Doubleheader told her where it was. Sure, Homewood, population 2,400. That's smaller than Mayberry, probably, if not the same size as Mayberry. And then she runs into these two yokels who, well, actually, she drags Dragon up there. They chop the tree down and it lands on her, but doesn't hurt her, fortunately. And then the sheriff says, "You're under arrest for the murder of your parents." Dun, dun, dun. Which he's like, "I don't remember." And the sheriff acts like, "Well, it's nice that Alex tries to fight it." And he's like, "I'm a cop, Alex. We have to do this by the book." So they put him in an old well. Lassie wasn't around, and Timmy doesn't help him out. And he's like, "This is the pits." So there's some clever writing here. That's what I think really has helped it out. Alex makes bad puns, and he threatens to leave her a couple of times because of it. So it was the 90s, and that was a thing. But they give it a more personality than in that first season. So Alex is doing some research, and they start figuring things out. And she runs in and says, talks to the sheriff, and then the sheriff's talking to the overlord on some closed circuit television or something somehow. I mean, in science fiction, this happened a lot, but if they're out in a population of 2,400, even in the 90s, at that point in time, the internet was very rudimentary. So somehow they've had a line there, probably a satellite hookup. Dragon escapes because he's put two and two together. And these guys, they didn't get named, and I didn't know who they were. So there's two of them. One that looks like he could be related to Dragon. Alex uses her badge to pry open that, lamenting that she gave up hairpins, and gets it open. Then she said, "There's the Dragon Way." So the fight breaks out. Mako shows up, and Vandal is this guy's name. I don't know why, but I think that's what they called him. And I don't know who this guy is. He's like Concrete, but except Concrete was used by wonderful series. If incidentally, surprised they never actually made it into some kind of movie. I think it would be really well done. I mean, it's not really a superhero comic, but Dark Horse, thank you. And I've drawn a blanket who did Concrete, but it's great. But he's strong. I like this shot where he picks up the jail to get to Dragon and Alex, and instead of just picking it up whole cloth, it actually crumbles like a building really would. So that was kind of nice. Dragon throws Alex into a tree, and she's threatening him, but she's got the freak phaser. There's a little fight here between Cement Head. That's what we're calling him, and he gets punched and actually he shatters. I'm assuming he can reform himself, kind of like the Absorbing Man could. She zaps Mako, and Vandal gets punched. And they go back and they tell why that they can tell that the shadows were wrong, so it was a mock-up. And Overlord had apparently just bought the land and built the house to make it look like that 2 days before Dragon got there. And Dragon's like, "Oh, I don't remember any of it. I mean, he'd like to, but he's not worried about it. He's an officer," and away they go. So look, Officer She-Dragon shows up. This looks very much like Eric Larson drew it, and he had his own style. I mean, there's a lot of Kirby in there, but he's got his own, made it his own. Again, I appreciate that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it looks like Dragon's got a couple extra digits, but he really doesn't. That's just the way it looks. So this is called Loose Cannons, and there's the freak phaser again. They mention it a lot. And then remember the 3 bikers from last time? We get there. I don't remember any of their names really. I wish that they would tell us, but Loose Cannons was the next episode, October 9th, 1 week later, 1996, written by Reed Shelley, who wrote The Homecoming. So that was good. The other ones, I thought that said Buzz Dixon, but I could be wrong. Anyway, Volcanic is her name, which is okay. I mean, yeah. They couldn't use Volcana or Volcana. I think that's a DC hero. I liked her a lot. But she's a jerk. She's from back east somewhere, in Jersey or New York City, because she's got the accent. She throws him in the drink, and she's going to meet Overlord. After Dragon rescues Alex, he thinks she's out and going to perform mouth to mouth, and she says, "You wish." I think in the comic books they do have a relationship of some kind. I think I've mentioned that in the past, but so Overlord says, "Yeah, you can be a member, not the leader," and she else just storms out. And I don't know who this is again, or what the Lashina wannabe is, although she is from the Eastern European bloc, Russia or somewhere like that. She was one wild and crazy woman. And then She-Dragon's wanting to get in on it because she wants to bash Overlord. That's all. But so they're attacking the mayor, who's right there, and she gets thrown right into whatever mouth thing that is. But there's the mayor, or tubby little round mayor, just like in speaking of Mayberry. But she's given, I don't know which one that is, the boot to the head. Oh, Volcana. And just stomps on her, but Volcana melts her way out, and they all leave. So the mayor says, "I'll make you a police officer right there, Dragon's new partner." And Niceman can't believe it, and neither can Dragon. I don't know what they did with it, who Alex's new partner was. Hopefully not Niceman. And he reads Volcana the Riot Act. Overlord is pissed. Because he is the Overlord. And this guy pretending to be an old person. And Dragon says, "Go call her. He's out with She-Drag. Go call her." And she won't do it. She just wants to bust the bad guy, the really bad guys. the powerful ones. And it's like, that's not part of the job. That's not the only job you have. You have to. So he tries to get away, but Dragon gets zapped. So by our three she freaks, and so does she dragon does too. And she's like, "Good thing my hair already stands up naturally." And off she goes. So she has to go help Dragon. I like that volcanic changes form this time instead of just being shooting lava out of her hand with her magma. Alex rescues the she dragon, and the fight is on. They wrap her up. Those are like blood, like veins or something gross. I mean, the 90s had some really gross heroes and villains at one point in time, and I don't know. Call me old school. But I really enjoyed it. They capture him, and they want She Dragon to stay with Dragon so he can teach her more of the ropes. And she actually says, "No, it's not what I want to do. There's too much paperwork probably," and she resigns her commission, so to speak. And they're like, "Okay." And then they find out, oh, the three freak bikers have been busted out, and guess who busted them out? And he's left them tied up. And he says, "Okay, until you learn your place," and drops them into a pit with concrete up to their necks, wet concrete. All right, so our final episode is Star, which I'm going to really try not to sing any certain theme songs I'm well known for singing. And that is Skullface. I don't think I needed to put his name in there. I've been trying to, when they say their names, I try to put them in there so I can remember. That's Inferno, who seems to be very, like a Human Torch-ish sort of person, but he can't fly. And then this guy is Rockstar Peter Clapton. I think it's spelled with a K, but I didn't see that till later. So, I mean, how many kids knew who Eric Clapton was in '96? Maybe some. Probably not many, though. I guess people of a certain vintage, but Peter would be, I would guess, Peter Frampton, because he was an excellent guitarist as well. Is an excellent guitarist, but you just combine them. It's not subtle. So he's being interviewed, and he's kind of a jerk. And he's very arrogant. And Skullface wants the freak phaser, so he can build it and take over, and stop all the other freaks and probably stop Overlord, although I'm guessing Overlord's not actually a freak. It's just a guess. Suddenly, a superhero rings out who spins webs of any size. Catches thieves just like flies, as far as we know, but they call him Star because he throws shurikens. Skullface, and his other minion is Cutthroat, who's an amputee, but he's got a big old double-bladed axe for an arm, the rest of his arm, and many sharp things. And these, at least they're not pointing inwards, so they wouldn't slice him. But he's kind of got the pirate motif going on, right? And there he is in his best Ditko pose. Inferno gets zapped by the freak phaser, and then Cutthroat says, "You want to find out why they gave me that name?" Now, I don't know who this is. I mean, he's half Swamp Thing, half Man Thing, half Heap. I mean, there's a lot of swamp monster people, but he didn't get a name. I think we're just going to call him Green Thing, or Green Leaf, maybe. Greenpeace. So he grabs the freak phaser, but unfortunately, the star has gotten the microchip that makes it work. So, and they think he's Peter Clapton because he disappears every time that star shows up. They can't use it because it doesn't work properly. And there's Cyberface, and all I can think of is Taserface now, and that it's just as bad a name. I said almost as bad, but it's just as bad. But Star is out running around saving firemen and saying he doesn't want rewards, which is why people think he's Clapton, because Clapton always disappears. And that's when the Jimmy Olsen here, Officer Jimmy Olsen says, you ever notice how Clapton's never around when Star shows up? They're like, duh. And he's practicing his kickboxing, kicking him when they're down, because he's a jerk. And Dragon's like, stop doing it. You're going to get you or somebody killed. But now Inferno's out there. Now, I don't know where Overlord is in this because he can't be happy about somebody trying to horn in on his territory in Chicago, right? Star tries to give the microchip to Dragon, and Dragon's not listening to him, and he's like, stay here. But, rock stars don't do what they're told. They're rebellious. Star uses a fire extinguisher. It's CO2, Bill, on Inferno and freezes him. Solid. So Skullface and Dragon fight. Skullhead, Skullface. And then Leaf Thing shows up. I bet he's one of Ivy's creations. But really, it's hard to do a muck monster originally anymore, so this is about as good as you're going to get. So it looks like they're robbing PlayStation parts. Dragon bursts in and clobbers Alex accidentally. Skullface heats up Inferno, but they arrest Leaf Thing. Moss Thing? Oh, Moss Thing. That's way better, isn't it? Green Moss. He looks all right. He didn't say a word, I don't think. But there's the Skullface's ship. He grabs Clapton there and takes him away, and Dragon jumps onto the ship, has a fight, but gets zapped and captured. And he wants to know where the microchip is. Tell me where the microchip is. And then Star shows up. Dun, dun, dun. Uh-oh, it's not Clapton. And he sends him to fight. Alex is running up there. Apparently they're at the building now, but grabs a mirror because she did a bank shot earlier to zap Inferno or somebody. There's the microchip. And now he's got it in the big old cannon that Skullface has made, and he's trying to zap everybody, but it reflects. It's some kind, obviously it's light-based because electricity won't do that. Blows it up. Kaboom! Star leaves, and he says we're both wrong, and look out. There goes the star, man. Was the chill of the night, too, wasn't it? And then they see old Clapton is practicing and yelling at his rhythm guitarist, I would assume. And that's his bodyguard there. And both of them have bandages on their hands, and Dragon puts two and two together and tells him, if I ever run into Star again, I'll have to arrest him for being a vigilante. He's like, I know. So they know, and they're going to have to figure things out. I don't know if he comes back, which is, he's a good character, I think. And I did a little research about it because I wanted to find out who. And of course, in 30 years, he's been like 3 different people, which you can do in Image Comics. They actually age, I would assume. But I don't know off the top of my head. Anyway, that is our 3 episodes. I really enjoyed them. I'm intrigued by the Star. I thought that was a good idea. So tomorrow we will be visiting the Valley of the Dragons, which I'm quite looking forward to. I think it's a fun movie and deserves to be talked about. It was written by, The Career of a Comet was written by Jules Verne. But until then, my fellow agents, and until our next assignment, this is X7 signing off and phasing out. Be seeing you.
Challenged by furious forces of nature that defy explanation. A forgotten world of dark jungles, barren deserts, Stone Age mountains, and the Valley of the Dragons, alive with primordial animals. The menace of cavemen, gorilla people, underground demons.
What kind of a nightmare world is this?
The world of the past. 100,000 years past.
The Valley of the Dragons, where beast attacks beast, man fights man, and both battle each other. Prehistoric monsters out of the past bring new thrills in the Valley of the Dragons.